everybody. I think we're going to get started here. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm joined with Megan Smith, the account strategist at Social Flow, and we're going to take you through a few things here. Just a couple of housekeeping items. We do have the phone lines muted just to reduce the background noise. So if you do have questions, please enter them in the questions box in the GoToMeeting software, and we're going to try to get to them at the end of the webinar. This should only take about 25 to 35 minutes for us to go through, so we should have plenty of time for questions. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a hashtag for the event. It's #SMO webinar, so feel free to tweet anything you learn or any questions you have. And make sure to tweet Megan and I after the event. I'm on there and always open for questions. So Megan, if you want to take over whenever you're ready.
Sure. Thanks, Jen. Hi, everyone, and thank you all for coming to the webinar. I'm going to post a link here in the chat. Jennifer and I started working on a blog series about a month ago to talk about and highlight the what we thought were the 8 best practices for social media optimization. As we started getting into the series, we realized that this might make good content for a webinar in which we could get some feedback on these best practice tips. So today, we wanted to focus on specifically content because really optimization is about taking content and then finding the best time to promote or to publish that content. And the timing is really where things get tricky. There's a lot of data, real-time data that you need in order to make the best publishing decisions and to optimize in terms of timing. So today we're just going to focus on the content aspect, and we want to build up another webinar series in which we can talk about, another webinar where we can talk about the timing piece of that. So in order to create great content, we want to look at first what you've already got. So, you can have the best strategy and the most innovative tools out there, but without good content, you're basically just talking to yourself. No one's really going to pay attention, or they're going to learn to ignore you over time. So with a lot of the clients that we work with, one of the first things we do is go through a content review. So we look at blogs, photos, videos, anything on the native website, and anything that the client or company may be sharing on other social sites like Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, etc. And we often remind people that content is repackageable. Not all of your fans or followers have seen it when you posted it on the other site, and they may not have seen it the first time you posted it on Facebook or Twitter either. So it's okay to repackage and to repurpose content and to repeat it occasionally for the new folks or the people who haven't seen it. Something we found at Social Flow is that something like 10% or less of your online audience is online engaging with content at any point at a given time. This is just sort of a basic average. It's probably 12, 13%. It's different for every audience out there. So knowing something like that, you realize that it's okay to maybe send the same tweet earlier in the day as you do later in the day. Maybe you want to change the wording a little bit, but you might hit more of your audience or a different part of your audience when you repeat your content. And the other thing we do when we evaluate content is talk about what it's doing for the audience. You want to give the audience something of value. Is it entertaining? Is it informative? What action can they take with this information outside of just a retweet or sharing? Is it asking them to sign up for something, to contribute something? And the question I always pose is sort of a funny way to phrase it, but does it feed the monkey? So does it not only help you meet your goals, drive back to the website, maybe build brand personality or lifestyle, but does it boost the user's ego? Are they better off knowing that information or having shared that information? Does it become water cooler chat? So social is all about sharing, and it's really important to think about before you publish something, what is it giving your audience, even if it's just entertaining, even if it's just going to give them a laugh. How is it serving them? So then sort of the next step is to plan, and a goal without a plan is just a wish. This is a quote I found online, and I thought it was really applicable. So, a lot of people just want to sort of drive follower numbers or drive their fan count. But when you're talking about content, what is the goal behind the content? Can you segment the content into certain areas or certain types or categories that's going to allow you to assign a goal or to see a goal clearly through it? Where do you start? with the goal definition. And then thinking about other tools or tricks you can employ, hashtags, polls. All this sort of comes together into a strategic plan that outlines the goal, the effort, and the content that's going to help you reach that goal. And so one way I've used to sort of outline this idea is to create this content mix. Now here there are 5 basic categories that I use often, and depending on the brand or the company or the goals, the types of content you may already have, you may find you have another category that's specific to your brand or company. But generally these are 5 pretty generic ones that a lot of people have. And then so, you know, a lot of times I hear, and when I was a community manager, I had this issue also where I had other departments coming to me and saying, well, we need to drive marketing goals, and we need to drive customer support goals, and we need to do this with our social media, and we need to do that. So this is putting together a content mix will help you show other constituents in your company that, yes, we're driving those goals as well with these other category types or with these other buckets here, and they relate back to the business goal. So we're serving you while we're serving everyone else. And something like this is also helpful when you go to reevaluate your content later. I like to put percentages in here, not really as a true measurement, but just for myself to know that, you know, I've spent a lot of focus maybe in the personality section, but I haven't done enough in the internal resources section. I haven't driven people back to the website enough this month. So I'm going to shift my priorities a little bit and change the percentages so that when I'm looking on a daily or weekly schedule, putting together my content schedule, I know where to sort of focus my tweets or my Facebook updates, so they need to be a little bit more skewed towards this area to make sure I'm driving the web traffic or whatever the goal may be. So once you start getting into this habit of using a content mix and shifting focus and tweaking that and planning for the future editorial calendar, you're going through a cycle. And what we notice is that this cycle is repetitive, and it actually, if you notice what part of the cycle you're in, you move into the other cycles more successfully, or the other stages more successfully, and you can start making this sort of formulaic plan that you can go back to and go through over and over again. And then you're really paying attention to how the content is doing. So let me just sort of talk through this this cycle here. So part 1 being listening. Hopefully while you're doing that content mix, you've already spent some time listening to your fans and followers, seeing sort of the topics that they're discussing, the hashtags that they're already using, and what they're sort of generally into online, and what's trending, and what they're saying about the brand in general. So you begin the content mix, which is part of the plan cycle. You outline what content you have based on content. You start creating more content based on what you're hearing while you're listening. For instance, if someone mentioned that they want more information about your company or your product, you can plan on how you might respond in real time right away, but then you can also plan how will I create more messaging around the company or the product in general so that I'm answering the question before I get it. Then you move into a creation cycle where you're writing that tweet, or you're working with a team of writers, however your staff is sort of laid out, to create that content. A lot of folks will say, you know, I don't have any content. I have a blog maybe, but we only publish once a week or so. Well, one of the things we often look at is how can you advise or aggregate content that's already out there. Maybe your brand or company can have a voice about, or an opinion or a response to content that's already out there, and that becomes your content. And as you sort of pull that stuff together, you move into publishing, the actual tweeting or posting on Facebook, etc. This is really just a small part of the puzzle. Once you start publishing, then you can look at the response you're getting, the clicks, the likes, the shares, the retweets. Start to evaluate the engagement on those posts and that content in general. Over time, you can see trends. People are gravitating more towards the personality type content and less towards the company information or the self-promotional type stuff. So maybe you'll shift your focus a little bit for a while, or bring that information back to the stakeholders and constituents of the company, saying, you know, I know your goal is here, but people are really responding to this kind of information, see the numbers over time. Let's talk about next steps. Just to show you an example of a client I worked with, this company called Alta Editions. They are a virtual cookbook, basically an application built for the iPad with recipes by Laurent Gras. This was an initial content mix before the launch of the app. We didn't have a lot of original content, so you'll see a lot of the numbers are fairly low, but in terms of Pinterest and other sort of external and photography type stuff, we wanted to really focus there. Also, fan content and a contest. We were going to drive a contest towards the launch of the app, so more of our focus went there. We didn't have a lot of fans and followers just starting out, so there wasn't enough room really for rewards and engagement just yet. And they just launched the app this week, so we're moving into a post-launch phase, and we're starting to tweak this mix, shifting focus now that we've got more fans and followers on board. And so it's just a really nice, clean way to see sort of what you're doing and how it's going and how you might want to change it. So the next part of this, once you've sort of gotten into the cycle, is considering the timing. You've built your content mix, you're ready to publish, or you're already publishing, and you ask yourself, you know, how do I know it's the best time for this message? How do I measure when the audience is available and interested in what I have to say? How do I account for fans and followers in other time zones? Am I over-publishing? How do you know answers to these kinds of questions? And this is the other piece of the optimization pie that we really want to get into. There's quite a bit to cover there, so we want to save it for the next webinar. But that is that. I will turn it over to Jennifer.
Thanks, Megan.
No problem.
All right, everybody. So I'm just going to take us through a couple examples of what our clients are doing to optimize their social media. They're really great about getting their communities involved in showing appreciation for their community's engagement. And they do great with the type of content they put out to get response from their community. So first, I want to talk about meeting your audience halfway. Go down to our client, College Hunks Hauling Junk. They do a great job on Twitter because they're not only here meeting their audience by what they're already talking to, they're not just waiting till they're tagged on Twitter. They're actually searching their business name. So don't force hashtags or force your community to tweet or engage with you the way you want them to make it easier on you. Find how they're already talking to you. So they're already talking to College Hunks. And if College Hunks hadn't searched for their business name on Twitter and we're just searching the @ College Hunks, they wouldn't have seen these tweets, which are great testimonial tweets from their clients. So make sure that you are searching your business name and not just things that you think your community is using. Do try to keep the conversations going, whether somebody replies and engages with you publicly or writes a question privately, like with the new Facebook option for pages. Make sure you respond in a positively manner, even if your followers it has a negative tone. Not only is it helpful to keep the conversation going, it's rewarding to the fan to hear from you. And here at College Hunks is being very helpful by responding to a private Facebook message they received from one of their followers saying thanks so much for the great testimonial that they received. Also, that was posted on their timeline, but they also gave them information for the girl that said she was looking for somebody to help move, and they said, if we have somebody in your area, there's their contact info. And make sure to like and say thanks for the comment whenever anybody posts on your wall in a positive manner. And if it's in a negative manner, make sure you respond as well, because you can probably turn that person from a negative person about your brand into a brand advocate. Engage and reward your audience. Make sure you engage your followers on Facebook. Try to use a custom app and get promotion for yourself at the same time. Most of the new custom Facebook apps have like and tweet buttons integrated, so it's kind of a win-win. Here, Shape Magazine, who's our client, ran an hour-long live stream from a Zumba event that was happening in London for their community. They also promoted it, on Twitter, and used the hashtag for the event, which was Zumba Fitness Challenge, which got a lot of visibility. The numbers here on the left, during the live stream, the total of unique visitors throughout the stream 7,321. During the hour, that's at 6,000 new likes for their page, just during the hour the video was going. During the day, by the end of the day, they had 7,146 new likes to their business page. And then they replayed the video twice over the weekend, and they got 9,631. The talking 16,000, that's the talking about this metric that Facebook measures. Normally on most given days, Shape averages about 5,000 people per day talking about their brand. But on this day, when they had their event, they had 16,000. And that's in result from people liking the app, the event, the post on there, or sharing the post. They were able to share this to their Facebook page. As you can see there, under where the people are dancing, the little Facebook and tweet buttons show up. But the best part is that this event not only pushed the brand as you saw these numbers go up, but it got Shape Magazine in front of their target audience, which is health-focused individuals. So, it's really getting them in front of the right audience that they're trying to get in front of. Make sure to use content that revolves around a relevant subject matter, and remember to diversify your content strategy. Here, Shape does a great job providing events to their followers based on the subject matter, which is yoga, because they're health-focused individuals. And they also thank their community for coming to the event, which is very good to do. As you respond and start to build a good community, one way to reward them is to give them an exclusive offer. So down here on the right, you can win a week's free sample of Dole pineapple. Of course, this is public because it's a Facebook page, but it's still saying thanks to the community, to those who are engaging. So it gives them a reason to come back. If you're just constantly posting content and you're not engaging and saying like and thank you for the comments, you're not giving your followers a reason to come back. So you need to make sure you engage with them and reward them so that you can continue to build a great community. Also, make sure to diversify your content. So this image here, they do have a post and it's an article on their website, but they added an image separately and didn't just use the rich link, which is a little thumbnail. Normally they get about 12 to 16 shares per post. This image got 34. So when you switch up your content like that, it really helps. They got much more visibility for this post because of that than they do normally. As Megan said earlier, use content you already have. Shape has an immense amount of content on their website. I know that not all of us have that, but they do have that, and they do a great job of repurposing that in multiple places. This is on Twitter, some screenshots. And they have, articles that they're always doing. They repurposed this event, the sweepstakes that they ran on Facebook. They put it on Twitter here. As I mentioned earlier with College Hunks, use the hashtags that your audience is always using, and do try to keep the conversations going. So as you can see, the conversation stream on the left here on Twitter with Shape, one of their followers put out, they did tag them with their Twitter handle, so it was very easy for them to see, but they responded back. And gave them some useful, helpful information about their questions. So it's really, really good. As I mentioned with College Hunks, with the hashtags and trying to keep your conversations going, Shape does a great job of replying to their followers even when they're not mentioned by their account name or common hashtag, like I mentioned before. Just remember, sometimes you just need to sit and watch your Twitter stream. Like, you're not always going to see things. You shouldn't always wait till somebody mentions you or mentions your brand. Like, get in there and see what people are saying, the people that follow you and the people you follow, and start to really build a great community around relevant subject matter that you are usually talking about. That's really going to get people engaged with you and want to come back. And also be brand advocates. So later on, when you need some help sharing some content, you can reach out to them, and they'll be more than willing to help you out. So thanks so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, again, please tweet us. Megan's down below. Twitter handle right there is @JennyMcDonald, and hers is right there as well. So, Megan, do you have anything else that you want to say? Are there any?
Well, I saw a question come through about, well, I think in terms of, I know this gets into timing a little bit, but when I talk about a content mix and planning content sort of categories ahead of time, people usually ask if they can still publish effectively in real time. And I just want to put it out there that, of course, that still works, and you can still be very effective posting to Facebook and Twitter on the fly, sort of outside of your plan, if you will. I think as long as you're listening in real time, responding to a comment or a mention, a trend or something that's relevant in the mainstream sort of social graph, or if you're speaking universally, that's always a good time to publish on the fly, even if it doesn't necessarily fit into your content mix. And it's good to experiment. We can plan to the nth degree, but you know, sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. You get involved in a certain conversation online, and it takes off, and you were there. So it's good to keep that in mind. That's all.
Great. I saw our question, can we get slides for the webinar? Yes, I'm going to put it up on my SlideShare account. Not sure if Megan has one, but she'll put one up there too, and I'll tweet about that. Also, we're recording this webinar, and so since I had all of you sign in with your email to register for the event, I'll be able to email you all a link to the webinar, and I'm going to put it up on our YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. As Megan mentioned, we're going to have another webinar that's going to talk about strictly the timing. So we're going to have that later, and since I have all of your emails now, I would like to email you all about that when we do set the date for that, so you can join us since you already were on this one. One quick question, how do you decide the right frequency of posts for a channel, i.e. one time per day for Facebook, 3 times for Twitter, etc.? Could you share an example? Megan, this is probably a great time to talk about social flow, but I can also talk about how I do things.
Yeah, I mean, this is directly related to the timing that we want to get into, we want to address. There are a lot of myths. I've read a lot of blogs about, you know, you shouldn't post to Facebook more than once a day, and you shouldn't post to Twitter more than 3 times or 5 times or whatever the magic numbers are. But really, I think what we believe at Social Flow is that it's specific to each audience, and that certain brands and companies have the kinds of audiences who expect a lot of publication, and others have audiences that don't really expect or want a lot of publication throughout the day. So, for instance, one client of ours, Gawker, posts to Facebook quite often, and it's not affected their follower count or their fan count in a negative way at all. I think their audience has grown, and they've learned to expect frequent posts. Now, I know there's a whole scenario with EdRink and all kinds of things that we can get into the next webinar, but I think oftentimes people are surprised. We've had clients come on who only post 2 or 3 times a day. We are able to show them that their audience is actually more available than they realize, and they could get away with posting more often. Then we start incrementally raising that number, and we watch their engagement metrics to see if it's having a positive or a negative effect. If their average clicks per tweet or per Facebook post start to go down, then we might say, okay, that's probably your threshold at this point. If the numbers start to go up, then we know we're doing something good. So I don't think it's really necessarily a good rule to stand by to say that everyone should only post this number of times to Facebook or this number of times to Twitter, because it doesn't really hold true depending on who your audience is and what they've come to expect from you. So yeah, I think that's definitely something we want to talk further about at the next webinar.
Okay, great. And I was just going to say, if you don't have Social Flow or an optimization tool, I know there's a few out there. I have Social Flow for my Twitter account, but I don't have it for Facebook. So what I do for the Engaged Facebook page is really just experiment, try to always post at different times and see what gets the most engagement from my fans. You also have to look at the content you're putting out. Is it playful content, or is it really brand-focused content or industry-focused content? So I say if you don't have an optimization tool to help you out, then just experimenting and documenting your results is a great way to do that, as well as follow along with industry trends and reports that come out from brands that have investigated about that.
Yeah, some of the data that goes into the optimization is considering how much of your audience is online and how much of those folks are active. Are they actually engaged with content, or are they just sort of being passive and browsing? And without having that sort of real-time information, it's really hard to just say, well, I've already posted once today, so I shouldn't post again, when in fact maybe more of your audience is online right now. And those sort of numbers, that data changes. I mean, people don't typically follow a standard schedule when they check their Facebook every day, and they only check it at 9 a.m. and they don't check it again. And, you know, I mean, so it's hard to set like arbitrary rules about that sort of thing without having the information. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was just going to add that we have a lot of clients that are in the UK, and so that's at a completely different time zone than over here, so it's hard to, think about those people, which is great for me with Social Flow on Twitter, because sometimes I come in on the mornings and my tweets have posted at 12:30 at night or 4 a.m. in the morning in different time zones. So if you want to check if you have followers in different time zones, Facebook Insights will show you that when you log into the back end of your Facebook page. It'll show you where most of your fans are from, if they're from the U.S. or if they're from another country. So that will also help you decide what time you should be posting content. Great. Well, that's all the questions, unless you have any remarks, Megan.
Oh, no, I was just going to thank everyone again for coming. That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And we'll be emailing everybody and following up. And please tweet us with any questions that you may have, and thanks for answering the poll. And hopefully we will see you next time. Hopefully that will be, we're thinking around August for the optimization webinar. So stay tuned and have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.